And I'm joined by Mr. Don Martin. How you doing, Don, man?
Hello, I'm very well. I'm very glad to be here and alive still after all these years. But no, thank you for your time and thank you for having me on the show. It's a real pleasure. And thank you for everything you're doing. Just you keep on doing that.
I
Keep on.
appreciate. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I've always said my radio show is 2 hours a week where I get to, there's people coming in my house and going, "You need to listen to this." That's all I do. I just play music I enjoy, no more, no less, buddy. But
It's not easy. Look, it's not easy. I've a lot of admiration for yourself and people who do what you do. I mean, you guys are the real rock stars. Just so you
uh,
know that. That's the truth. Because it's people like yourselves that put people like me in different places. So we all appreciate that. On behalf of everybody you've interviewed, thank you for doing that.
thank you, man. That's really kind of you to say. And like I say the reason we're here um, is to promote you and your new album, man. You released Buried in the Hell. Was it 2 weeks ago now? Friday 22nd, when that came out, and I've not stopped spinning the record, man. I had it with me. Been listening to it online. I've just got the physical copy come through the post today, so happy with that.
Thank you for that. Good man.
No worries. Like we are saying, before we hit record, I'd started listening to you sort of middle of last year, when I heard "A Savage Life," your last release, and then was delving into that and got the first single "Unhinged" sent across to the radio show. So I was really excited to hear it. And I've been waiting on this album, man. It's absolutely storming, man. You got to be. It seems to me like, because I've had a couple of weeks to live with it now,
Yeah.
and it feels like an album where the more I listen to it, the more it reveals itself and gives to me.
Oh, it definitely does. I get the same feeling when I finished it.
Hmm.
We got the mixes and everything sorted out, and then we finally got the whole thing. I was doing a solo tour of the UK at the time,
Hmm.
and so we're on the road a lot. So I had a lot of time to just sit in the van and put the earphones in and listen to it, kind of figure out all the wee tweaks and things I needed to add and take out. And so I produced it basically on the road, with
Nice.
Chris and Graham on the other end. And yeah, it was when we finally got like the finished mixes back. Every time I listened to it, I found new things in it that to enjoy, and I always wanted to do something like that.
Yeah.
The other two albums, in the first album I made, I was still drinking really heavily, and I don't remember a lot of it. I didn't produce it. It was mixed and mastered and produced by somebody else, so I'd really had no control over how it sounded or anything like that. And the second one was an absolute train wreck as well. So this is the first one that I've produced myself. I had a very hands-on approach. I knew exactly what I needed to do before I even went into the studio. I knew how it all had to go,
Yeah.
and I stuck to my guns on this one.
Nice one, man.
For better or for worse, from start to finish, I wouldn't let anybody mess with anything. I wouldn't let anybody add anything or anything like that, unless it was, very, very good. Which there was a lot of really great ideas that span around the room when we were in recording it. But yeah, it's I can actually listen to it from start to finish without feeling frustrated or embarrassed or anything. I don't have any of those feelings when I listen to it. And for me, like personally, that's a massive achievement for me, to finally get that out. And it's the first two albums were the true representation of what I'm about, I guess. And this one's a true representation,
Yeah.
and I can get behind it 100%. It's real, it's
Good.
authentic, and yeah, I'm glad that I like it. Most importantly, I don't really mind if people like it or not. I'm very grateful to people who do like it, but it was never my intention for anybody to even listen to any of these songs. These are same with the other two albums. I never really wanted to make them. I never wasn't like, oh, I need to make an album so people can listen to this. It's never like that. So I just got very lucky, I think.
I mean, for me, like with artists that a lot of artists that I like, they seem to be there's two camps really. There's people who want to be musicians, and there's people who have to play, have to sing, have to write songs because it's a cathartic thing. It's just what they do, whether they were playing in the pub with people spilling beer over them and no one listening, or where they were doing, Wembley or wherever it might be. It's just what they do. And I get the feeling, I mean, there's so much heart in anything I've heard from yourself, from your previous releases and this one. Would it be fair to say that you're in the latter category where you just have to play?
Definitely, without a doubt. I mean, I don't walk properly or talk properly unless I've done this, for an hour when I wake up. I just even listening to music, I have to listen to music, otherwise I can't be myself. I feel out of place. Um, it's a thing that I think should be mandatory for every human on the planet. Everybody should be playing an instrument of some kind of description, something that interests them. They have to look at it. It's not a competition. You don't have to be the best at it. It's not. You're not here to impress anybody. You don't have to be the best at it at all. It's for you. Once I started playing for myself, I became a much better person. It became easier. The pressure was off. Zero pressure. So if you have that mentality coming into it, if you're a musician especially, and you're doing this for a living, just keep that in the forefront of your mind. That you don't have to impress anybody, and you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. That's
Just
that's
welcome
the
people to
advice
your
I can
world.
give. Yeah,
And I say it sounds like welcoming people to your world a little bit. And I love the fact that the album's capped with like two instrumentals. Which you got "Hello" in there, it is almost an intro, and then like you got "Later Rest" at the end. And it just felt like that was almost like a transition from wherever you were as a listener into the record with you, and then sort of
yeah,
back out again almost.
yeah, yeah. No, it's that was it's definitely intentionally made that way.
Mm.
And it's a whole life on that album, a life and a death. There's finality there. There's a conclusion, and there's it's all in there. The whole thing is in there. There's nothing hidden. There's no secret meanings or anything. I mean, it's right there in your face, and it does give people closure. There's a lot of albums where you're like, that left me wanting a bit more, or that
Yeah.
was a bit too much, or something. I think I've struck a good balance between having a final thing at the end, which was that "Laid to Rest," which was originally the intro.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, originally the intro was the death, and the outro was the birth.
Oh, no.
But I felt it just worked. It worked better on its axis. And I'm glad I did that.
Nice one. So when you were writing for this album, did the sort of process change in any way from, A Savage Life, or was it?
Oh yeah, it was a weird one because like I was on tour. Remember I was saying about this solo tour. Well, the one directly before that tour was also another solo one, and I got really sick at the start of it.
Oh, right.
I was in France. I was doing some gigs in France, and I got sick then. And on the way home, I had this tour to do, I just got worse and worse and worse. I couldn't breathe. I was doing these gigs, and I was coughing, and it was a horrible time. So we cancelled a couple of gigs, and we went to stay at a friend of ours in England, Dave Frohawk, you call him. He puts us up when we're gigging nearby him. So very good guy, very nice guy. Done a lot for us. So I've got a room there when I stay there. So we had the van. It was full of all the equipment, guitars, amps, all the stuff you need to make noise. And so I just set up all this stuff in this room, and 2 days in that room, and I wrote that whole album in 2 days. I
Wow.
had 513 voice memos on my phone to go through with me, just with a guitar, with ideas and stuff. Now, a good percentage of them were me messing up radio things like, "Hi, this is Don Martin for like KT, whatever, news and stuff," just me mucking about. But the majority of them were just song ideas.
Yeah.
And out of those 500 roughly voice memos, I picked those 11 songs to work on. And yeah, over those 2 days, I just sat and wrote them, and it was finished like that. It was done.
Oh, nice one.
So I got lucky by getting sick, and having that time in that room to write that album in those 2 days. I wish I could still do that. I feel I should get sick again and lock myself away to write the next one.
Right, next one. Just have some forced time, have some forced isolation time to write the next one.
Definitely. I'll go to Cornwall.
Yeah, cool. It was perfect for
Hi.
it.
Brilliant.
But yeah, obviously, also on the record, you done a cover of "Crazy" by Willie Nelson. What made you do that one? It's
I
not.
had I had the song, I had the idea, the structure of the song, and I was going over it and over it and over it, and I was like, I can't find any lyrics to fit this bit of music, you know. And it was like, I don't know, it just kind of popped into my head. We were always looking for a good cover to do. You know, I always maybe do like a Rory Gallagher cover or something like that, an old Dead Belly stuff, and something that pays homage to the greats that came before. You know, just a tip of the hat, really.
Yeah.
I love Patsy Cline. I love that version of Crazy, and it was recently I found out it was Willie Nelson that wrote it, and you know at the time as well, I was feeling pretty crazy too. You know, so I started singing the lyrics just over that bit of material. You know, just that bit of music, and from there it just evolved from a nice melodic kind of tremolo soaked in reverb
Mhm.
tone to a barbarically overdriven crazy guitar riff, you know. And the lyrics just fit the mood of the song so well. And I honestly didn't think we were going to get permission from Willie Nelson or whatever, whoever runs that, to put it on the album, but we fought for it, and we got the permission. So we were like, ah, fuck it, we might as well use it, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
might as well, we might as well do it. Yeah. So it worked out really well, actually. I think a lot of people. I mean, I didn't. If I'm going to do a cover of something, I didn't want to just copy and paste it like it
Yeah.
sounds like everybody else does it, you know. So I think it was, as far as covers go, I think it's a pretty good one, you
I think
know.
that's it. I think if you are doing a cover, then you should absolutely put your own stamp on it and make it like you have written it, like
Yeah,
obviously the instrumentation underneath. Um,
definitely.
so that I didn't recognize the song when it first came through, and it was
A lot of people are
just
saying that.
lyrically, I was sort of like, I know these lyrics, but I couldn't quite place where from. And it wasn't until I'll be honest, it wasn't until I was told in the press release and I looked at it and I was like, that's why.
I'm glad to hear that. That's good. It means it's working, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely by design.
Also, you mentioned Rory Gallagher there, who you've always cited as a major influence. But I was just intrigued. I know I saw another interview where you were talking about your dad lending you, giving you that cassette when you were young, and that sort of changed your mind.
Yeah.
And my dad was a big Rory Gallagher fan as well, and I
Cool.
had a similar thing. He gave me a cassette which had Gary Moore's "Back to Blues" on one side and Rory Gallagher's "Tattoo" on the other.
Oh, amazing.
when I
Amazing.
started, when I started sort of taking an interest in what he was listening to,
Yeah.
because I kept nicking tapes out of his car, and I had this silly little like one speaker thing that was supposed to be, I think, for like kids' nursery rhymes and shit. But
Yeah.
I was like nicking dad tapes out of my dad's car and going and putting them in that. Um,
I love that. That's brilliant.
yeah, and
I
he
fair play.
got so annoyed with me nicking like his Queen and other albums I was nicking at the time.
Oh yeah, my dad was exactly the same. Every time I seen him, I'd take another LP off him. You know what I mean? He never figured out where they went until I ended up with this stack of LPs. You know, all the really good ones. Like,
So
uh,
much, and so much so it's funny. It ended up getting reversed. My dad unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
oh man, I'm sorry about that.
Thanks, man.
That's a tough one to go through. You never really.
It is. It's a
It's
shame.
one of the hardest things losing a parent.
Oh,
It's awful. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry.
thanks, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, when we were going through his things and sorting stuff out, I found loads of my albums in his collection that I thought I'd lost as well. It had gone kind of full circle.
It's great when it happens,
It
isn't it?
is.
It's a brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was Rory Gallagher the first one that really kind of turned you on? Then I take it.
Well, actually, it was The Wall by Pink Floyd.
Okay, yeah, cool.
My very, very first memory of music at all was my dad putting on that album. Still have that same copy of that same LP, and it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Listening to, I was like probably 4 or 5 years old, maybe a bit younger, and just to have such a vivid memory of those songs on that album. There's some mental stuff on there, like like The Trial, for instance. That's a mental song, like. And the whole album's, and it's pure insanity. I mean, it's a Roger Waters album with
Absolutely.
Pink Floyd backing up the guy. It's definitely not a Pink Floyd album by any means. It's definitely a Roger Waters album. But it was just such a. I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? When you're that age, you don't know what the hell you're listening to or what the hell you're seeing or what any. It was completely unnatural to me to listen to that album at such a young age, and I'm very grateful for that experience. When a diehard Pink Floyd fan, my life was never the same. I was reset for life. But Rory came not long after that, and my first brush with the blues was also Pink Floyd,
Okay.
the Metal album.
Oh yeah, we
On
forgot
the
about
B side, there's a song called Seamus, and it's Seamus the dog. You know, they actually brought the dog on stage and gave him a microphone, and he'd be howling through this blues song. You know, and I feel like I identified with it without even knowing the word blues. You know, I just kind of I felt it.
that kind of tonality. He kind of just sort of resonated with.
Yeah, it made me feel very calm. You know, it gave me a very good sense of peace, I think. And I've been listening to blues ever since.
Yeah.
And it's that peaceful feeling's never left, you know.
It's a precious thing to have, man.
I think I think a lot of people would love to have it, you know, and I'm very, very grateful that I have it, you know.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
I think a lot of people, like you say, are searching for it for most of their lives in their music. You know, that's why.
Yeah.
You know, when I have an album that really pricks my ears up, that's why it goes on my radio show. At the end of the day, that's why I try to talk.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
You gotta be interested in what you're doing,
absolutely.
what you're listening to. I mean there's songs I've written that I can't even play, you know.
Yeah.
Like that whole Spain to Italy album was a nightmare for me to play live. All very, very personal songs. You know, I never wanted anybody to hear them. It was never for, you know, human consumption in a way. It was never this is very personal things to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize after I made the album that I had to play them every night on tour. So
That's
by the end
probably
of
tough
that,
because you obviously, like when you're playing the songs, and obviously they come from a very personal point,
yeah,
you're going over that in your mind.
you're back in that room
Yeah.
every night going, fuck, I wish I was dead. You know, when is this going to stop? You know what I mean? So I try to write a little less personally. If I'm going to put it on an album, I have to be able to want to play it every night on tour. You know, so I didn't know that before. So it's all I'm learning. You know, every day's a learning day.
Every day's a school day, man. It's that learning curve, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely, yeah,
So with a song like Howling, for example, I'm guessing
yeah,
the tip to the hat to the main man himself.
big time, big time, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, there was a million ways I could have done it, I guess, but I feel that that was it had such a like a New Orleansian funeral feel
Yeah.
to it. You know, just these guys like out playing on the street and a real busker's life type mentality to it. And it also had that sound of really early amplification, you know, like the 40s and 50s, that tone,
Yeah.
like the first amplifier made and those first guitars made, those electric guitars, you know, those old Fender amps. It has that sound, that early amplification sound, which was the most important thing to me for that song, was to get that sound right. And yeah, I was very lucky to be able to do that with that song, you know. Um, I mean, there's not a day goes by I don't listen to some Howlin' Wolf. You know, he's just I love his songs. I was saying this earlier at another interview today that his songs are more relevant today than they ever were.
Oh, absolutely.
They're more relevant today. You know, a lot of people need to start listening to these songs because they, you know, they could help so many people. They could shed a bit of light on whatever you could be going through. You know, but it is massively forgotten.
Yeah,
It's a damn shame.
it is shame. Like, you know, it's stuff like the Howling Wolf and, you know, everyone else those guys did is timeless. And it
It
sadly
is.
a lot of
Yeah,
the stuff they were talking about and, you know, recession and depression and everything else that's going through. Everyone's going through that again. You know, it's
yeah. And there's more people now, so it's a bit harder. You know what I mean?
yeah.
There's a lot more stuff. I mean, there's too much and not enough at the same time. You know, so it's kind of so it's always wet even when it's dry. You know that kind of thing. Awful, awful. But you know, all we need to do is be a little more kind,
Yeah.
a little bit kinder to each other. That's it. You know, just that one thing in everybody's mind, in the mentality of the masses, just to be a little kinder to everybody around you, and the world will be a much better place.
Really would, man, definitely.
That's all it takes. So many scumbags around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're all in it for themselves. They've got no outward thought about anybody else. Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
The me mentality. Me.
Yeah.
All
And
that. What about us? What about everybody? You know,
you know,
everybody feels the same thing.
Of course we do. Everyone's going through the same crap at the minute, and but as a force, as a united front, you're stronger than you are trying to steal off everyone else. But no one seems to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a crazy place. It's a crazy place. I'm grateful for the music that it produces because that's where all the good songs come from. It's pure trauma, like
Oh, absolutely. So
But
you saying you wrote the album in 2 days? Was there one song in particular that kicked off, the sort of frenzy of writing? Did you have bits and pieces already done, or was it literally all done in that room?
there was many other songs too. You
Yeah.
know, there's there was like another 20 songs or something.
Oh,
I just didn't want to play them every night.
yeah.
Not at that particular time. Maybe down the line, they'll grow and they'll evolve, and they'll become a bit more comfortable or a bit easier to play. Some of them are just beyond my capabilities at the moment. You know what I mean? We'll get there. But I guess the fall was probably the hardest because it's so intricate. The way you have to play it, like you're up here and you got to slide down really quickly and you're back up again. And if you don't do it right, it messes up the whole thing. You got to start from scratch again. So it's a very difficult song to play, and I've been playing it every day now since I got home from the European tour because we're heading to the UK to tour this album
Yeah.
in a couple of days. So yeah, I'm hoping I don't mess it up too much on the first couple of gigs. First couple of shows are going to be a bit rough, I think. While we find our feet with it
Yeah.
and stuff.
So with this tour that you just mentioned, obviously coming up because I'm coming to the Stowmarket show, which is towards the end of the 25th of the month. So I'll see you down there, man. But the tour, is it a pure solo show? You bring the band out with you on this
Oh no,
tour?
the band's there. The band's there. It's a band show. It's definitely a band show. There'll be two songs at the very start, which will be "Hello in There" and "The Fall," which are the only two solo acoustic songs really on the album. The rest of it, the guys, Ben Graham, Aaron McLaughlin, just a power trio, nothing else.
Nice.
They'll be backing me up pretty much through the rest of it. And there's another band supporting us also from Ireland called Delta Fuse.
Yeah, I hadn't heard them until they got announced for the tour, man, and I've been checking them out. They're really good.
They're brilliant. I wanted I'd like to give back to people from Ireland, that I like, and I want the best guys. I want the best support. I don't want somebody that like a solo thing or something that's going to be outshone by a big band coming after them. I want somebody that's rocking, somebody that's not afraid to get up and dance and move and get the crowd going and get the blood going. So I mean, Delta Fuse were just a natural option. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I hope they enjoy it. Most importantly, like I hope they have a good time.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of work. There's a lot of dates, a lot of late nights, and all that stuff. Like, but I hope they enjoy themselves. And if they don't, then I'm sorry for that. Like, but
I'm sure they will.
I hope so. I hope so. More importantly, the people that go to the shows will definitely enjoy them, and that's the most important thing, really.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them, man. Like I said, I'd heard the name, but not them.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm actually looking forward to seeing them myself. I really am.
have you played shows with them before then, or?
I did a show in Belfast years ago. It was like 5 or 6 years ago now. There was the Sinelli brothers as well at the Empire in Belfast. We all did like a triple header thing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it was great fun. It was great fun. That was the first time I seen Delta Fuse actually, and they were a fantastic band, and they're homegrown.
Yeah.
So it's good.
I think that was thing always kind of sings more louder, doesn't it? It goes back to what we were saying earlier, if you're being true to yourself and writing from whatever comes from yourself rather than trying to write a hit, because trying to guess a hit's never going to fucking work.
No, it's not. Not unless I don't know, unless you buy your hit or something. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's probably a thing by now. You could buy a hit online. You download a hit, Chat GP, whatever it's called.
I was chatting to a guy, John Young, of a band called Life Signs, a couple months ago, and he was saying he was in an airport and the sort of music going through the airport was, you saying there was, one piece was classical piece, and then it was like pop, and then it was a rock piece, but they all kind of had the same thing wrong with it, and he couldn't put his finger on what was going on. There was just something fundamentally wrong that was similar all the way through.
Yeah.
So he went and spoke to the woman on the desk and was like, "Who's done this? Is this like, is this artificial is this AI music?" And she went, "Are you a musician?" And he said, "Yeah." Because she goes, "Yeah, all 12 people who've asked me that have been musicians. It's all AI created. It wasn't like, and that's just sad. I mean, you think of all the people who were, session players and stuff, and going into playing jingles and trying to support themselves while they're probably writing their own stuff.
Yeah.
That whole sort of stream of stuff has just been taken away. It was insane when he told me. I couldn't believe it.
Well, they're coming out to get us, aren't they?
Hmm.
They're coming to get us all. They think we're all being paid cash in hand, so they can't get the tax on it. It's not the case. But they think they're missing out on money, so they're coming after us all. That's the reality of it.
Yeah. And the thing
So,
is, you can't replace that soul from someone doing it, though. It's
well,
never.
it goes to show you that people can't pick up on it, that it's not real. So I mean, there's positives in that story. There's also a lot of negatives as well, but yeah, it's becoming a lot tougher, especially as a business. I mean, you're never going to feed yourself on it,
No.
It's a labor of love. That's the harsh reality is it's a labor of love, and it's always going to be. It's always going to be that way, and we only do it really because there's no other option. There's no choice in this thing, There's no. It's not like, oh, tomorrow I'll just choose not to do this anymore, and go and get I don't know what the hell else to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for me and people like me, we're in it to the death, and it's survival.
It's like
It's
my wife's a portrait artist, like a pencil portrait artist, and she's
yeah,
same
it's even harder.
Yeah.
That's way harder. That's the toughest one. Artistry, it's crazy. I feel like we're a dying breed a little bit today. Like we're a dying breed.
Definitely are. I
There's
mean,
so many musicians, and they all have the same story. I had no money, but I got these songs.
yeah.
And it's probably very easy to exploit that for people that know what they're doing. A lot of us don't know what we're doing.
Trusting the wrong people sometimes. It's
Yeah.
easily done when you get given, promised a big, big dream.
Sure. It kind of happened to Hendrix as well. Hendrix is a perfect example. He didn't make a penny. He made nothing. Like, guy
No.
didn't even own his guitar. All his things were owned by other people.
Crazy, isn't it?
Never made a penny. Everybody made money off him, but he actually didn't really see any of it. He's seen a lot of acid.
Yeah.
It's probably about it.
Probably why they kept him on it, to be fair, isn't it? Easier to control.
More than likely, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So we're talking about Rory Gallagher earlier, and you mentioned Hendrix just then, but who else influenced you while you were like growing up and playing? And
Oh, I mean, the list goes on. All the old classics like Led Zeppelin were a huge influence. I love Led Zeppelin. Like, I know I look back on them now, today, in a different light for some reason. I don't know why. Not good or bad, just a different light.
different angles.
Just different. Crazy, like absolutely crazy stuff. Try to read books on Zeppelin now. I mean, it's hard to get the true story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I love the solo artists like John Martin. John Prine. John Prine is a legendary songwriter. Els Bailey said it best. Said that John knew something that none of us did. John Prine just knew something that nobody else knew. He just had a knowledge of something that completely alien to the rest of us, which I always liked. But I mean, the list goes on. Even now, like I'm still finding new people like Roy Buchanan. Recently, he was a real shock to the system when I heard him the first time. It was only a couple of years ago.
It's nice when you get that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're searching for it and you're waiting for it and you're waiting. You're like, I'm never going to find anything new. This is it. I've found the best of stuff that I like, and then bang, when you're not expecting it, when you're listening to a YouTube playlist and you're just changing strings for the next gig, on he comes. There he is. Yeah, I stopped what I was doing and I was glued to the screen.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this? And it was Roy's Blues live, Austin City Limits. And when it was finished, I had to lie down. It's only happened once before. It was Miles Davis with "So What." The first time I heard that, I had to go and lie down. You know, I had to process what the hell it was. It knocked me out. Got that with Roy Buchanan. Just his originality. I mean, he invented all this stuff. All this style of playing was completely original, and everybody copied him. You know, he started so many things that everybody copied and evolved from there. But Roy was very disarming as a guitar player.
Yeah.
If he walked into the room, I wouldn't play. There's not a chance I would play. I wouldn't go anywhere near a guitar. I would if he asked me if I play guitar, I'd say no. I don't play guitar. I would lie to him. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even take the opportunity to play with him. He was so disarming. You know, it's beautiful, beautiful thing. I love Bob Dylan, obviously, Buried in the Heel. I mean, there's a direct reference there, like. But yeah, really obscure stuff, I guess, as well. Jose Gonzalez, more recently, you know, he's good, really good chill out stuff there. I love his style, you know, classical guitar. He's consistently, he has a consistent style, you know, that has never changed.
Like one note, don't you? Let's be honest. You see the first couple of notes, you know, it's him. It's crazy.
Exactly. And yeah, I love that about him. He's kind of stayed original to that sound, and his recordings are all badly recorded. You know, all sorts of weird artifacts and stuff in the background. I love that. I think it's great. His guitars are all kind of buzzing and shit. You know, it's great. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I don't like a record that's too polished, though. I think that, you know, like going back to your own record here, you know, it's that right side of the raw tooth edge. You know, it's got to have that. To be honest, for me, I don't like anything too polished. It just doesn't. It goes almost virgin onto that sort of clinical side. I'd rather have it capturing the moment in the bottle than it be perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, I know it has to be done that way. Like A Savage Life was. It was a. I mean, I wasn't talking to anybody then. The band didn't even know what the hell we were going to be playing. I didn't even know what the hell we were going to be playing. None of it was structured. It was just three guys in a room. We just hit record, and whatever came out, that's what came out.
Wow.
And then we had to learn it and take it on the road because none of us knew what the fuck we were doing, you know, at all.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't in a very good place when we did that album.
No.
And yeah, I had a rough idea of songs like Blues on the Bay and what else was on there, like Unsatisfied.
Oh.
And all that stuff. I don't know, we just kind of, I wrote the lyrics in the studio, you know, it was what it was, you know. Yeah. Just ripped apart in production and we hired the wrong place, I guess, to do it, you know.
Okay.
And luckily, my good friend Fenton here, he found Chris and Graham down in Dublin at the production suite, you know, and they were able to fix a lot of stuff that the first guy completely messed up. He robbed us of thousands, this guy, you know. And I wanted to bin it. I wanted to put it in the bin and just start all over again, but we had no money
to
do that. So we had to just work with what we had, and it turned out okay.
I'm trying to remember the name of the track on the album because I haven't got it with me to the top of my head. There's a track on Savage Life where it's kind of got like a kind of 1940s, 50s stylist thing going on.
Yeah. The Man from Nowhere.
That's the one.
That was recorded so badly. The only way we could fix it without starting again was to put that scratchy stylus over it and make it sound worse.
Okay.
The only way we could fix it. It worked okay.
It sounded okay.
It wasn't too bad. Like, it wasn't great. But for what it's worth, you know, I'm glad we got it out there.
So when you are writing, do you tend to write with acoustic? Do you tend to write with electric? Which, you know,
it's definitely a variation thing.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of, it's all very spontaneous, and you know, you never really like, oh, today I'll write a song, or you know, it's off the cuff.
Whatever's in your hand at the time.
Pretty much. I mean, you could be doing anything like, and a song will just kind of pop up, and you gotta record it, or you gotta write it down quickly, or it's just gone, and it's never coming back, you know. So you lose a lot of songs that way.
I'm seeing pictures of you. I'm not like say this gig I come to in Stowmarket will be the first time seeing you live, but watching videos of you live, I'm guessing you're. It looks like a custom tele. I'm assuming it's a custom job. I'm guessing that's a little tip to the hat to Rory as well, with the how beaten up it looks.
Yeah, story behind that is this: we were on tour with Eric Gales a couple of years ago,
Oh,
and it wasn't a huge tour; it was just a couple of shows. You know, I don't want to make it sound like it was something that wasn't. Um, we did a couple of shows with Eric Gales in the UK, and it was good fun. You know, but after one of the shows, I got a message from a guy called Izzy who lives in Florida,
right.
Gulfcaster Guitars, and he got in touch. He says, you know, I love your stuff, and I build guitars, and I'd like to build you a guitar. I said, I've no money,
Yes.
so I'm, you know, if I ever make any money in this business, I'll come back to you because I've got some good ideas, and I'd love to make something, you know. And he said, you don't understand. I love your stuff. I want to build you a guitar. It's on the house. What do you want? You know, and I was like, oh fuck, here we go. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so I said to him, imagine, you know, Rory Gallagher's Strat. I'm not a Strat guy. Could never play them. Could never get on with them. I'd love to be able to play them, but they just don't do it for me. You know, I don't know. I just don't like them for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's
Sometimes it just doesn't sit with you, does it? I play bass myself, and a lot of my favorite bass players are Fender Precision guys, and
yeah,
I struggle getting playing with Fenders for
yeah,
years, and I couldn't do it.
yeah. So it's not just me then.
No.
Yeah, I've owned some really nice Strats, man. You know, really, really beautiful Strats, and I'm like, I wish these were tellies.
Yeah.
Just wish, can I make them into a telly? I just can't do it. You know, I wish there were tellies. I got rid of them all. I've no Strats. I think I've one or two maybe, but they're in their case somewhere. God knows where. Um, but I said to him, imagine Rory Gallagher's Strat. Imagine it was always a Telecaster from the very start. That's what I want. And he built it. This nutcase, you know, what an absolute psychopath, like a legend. But he scares me, this guy, because he did this. And it got stuck in customs on the way over
Oh wow.
America. And I ended up in Holland for a Rory Gallagher tribute thing
Oh yeah.
for Rory Gallagher's birthday, and the guitar turned up that same day on Rory
On
Gallagher's
Rory's
birthday. I
birthday.
couldn't believe it.
Oh, man.
I'm not a very superstitious guy or anything, but it was kind of like Rory was saying hello
Yeah.
in a way, you know. It's probably about as close as I'll ever get to him. Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. Like I say, look, as soon as I saw you with it, and I haven't seen a few other interviews where you mentioned Rory, I was like, that's got to be an inspiration from Rory right there.
No, he did a really good job on it. I'm proud of him for doing that. You know, it's a beautiful guitar. It plays
What
really.
thing to do as well, just to say, look, I build guitars. I really like what you're doing. I want to make you something. I don't care if I'm not getting anything financially from it. I just want
Yeah.
to.
I mean, he's very selective with, I think, who he does this for.
Yeah, of
He
course.
has to really be like invested in
Mm.
it, mindfully invested in the person, and I'm just so glad that however he found me, I have no idea, but I'm really glad he did, because that guitar I mean, it's a tool, you know, but what it's given me is a lot of power, a lot of ease of playing, and it's just such a beautiful guitar to take on the road. And I mean, I'm sure it's not for everybody, but for me, it's perfect. I
Yeah,
mean, it plays so well, and it's just such a great addition to any show that I've done with it, which is every single show pretty much since I've got it.
nice.
It has helped me tremendously, and I'm forever grateful to that guy for that. I really am.
No, I can understand that. Like you said, it's a beautiful thing that he's done to do that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing. It really
yeah.
is. We were talking obviously about live shows, and I know recently you were on the Joe Bonner Massacre cruise. How was that for you, man? That I saw some great footage from that. It looked like a really good time.
The cruise was great fun. It was great fun. Lovely, you know, waking up and out on the water and all that. You know, I like all that stuff. It's good scenery, good weather, lovely people. People were very friendly, no fights or anything like that. Um, yeah, some really nice memories from that time. Yeah, it's good fun.
Good man. Are you planning on releasing any more singles from the album? Obviously, you already released Daylight I Will Find and Belfast Blues, and obviously Unhinged as well. But
I think we released Crazy the same day we released the album.
Crazy come out the same day as the album. See, because I was away. That's when I was unplugging from the grid, as we mentioned earlier.
Yes, good man. We all have to do it from time to time. Yeah, no, I think just those four singles, and now the album's released.
Nice.
Get this tour out of the way, and start working on the next one.
Nice one, man. Well, so what does the rest of the year hold out for you, mate? Obviously, you got this tour which kicks off a couple of days' time, and on the 8th, you got your first
Hi.
show.
It's a good 30-date almost tour of the UK. We get back in Ireland in November then for an Irish tour.
Nice.
Like 10 dates kind of scattered through the month, you know.
Yeah.
So December off, most of December we've got off. So I'll just be writing a lot then. I think we have like one or two gigs maybe at the end of December, but apart from that, yeah, just enjoying the downtime, you know, see how much money I've made and hopefully be able to pay the rent. And if I can do that, then I've still got a roof over my head come Christmas, you know.
Fair play, man. It's not like you say, because I think it's not easy at the moment. There's so much that's
No,
happening.
it's not easy at all. But I mean, what's the alternative? I don't know. I don't
Being
know.
unhappy in the job you hate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. That's the alternative.
Yeah.
Pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah. That's all you can do. But no, thanks for your time, Don, man. It's been great to chat to you.
Oh, it's been lovely. It's been a long old day here in Ireland. I hope I'm not too lethargic or whatever.
No, at all, man. No, it's all.
I even forgot my own face. Exhausted. But I know I really appreciate your time there, Lee, and just keep going, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, you know.
And you, dude, you know what you're doing with your music is just feeding into what we want to play. So, and what people need to hear. It goes back to what you're saying earlier. So, yeah, I'll see you in Stowmarket, mate, at the end of the month when that show comes around.
Come seek me out, man. We'll have a talk.
Oh,
Okay.
definitely, that'd be great. And so at the beginning of the interview, I'm going to play Howlin' because we've been speaking about that a little bit, and it's probably one of my favourites off the album. But what song off the album would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know what songs are on there. Hold on. You'd think I'd know by now. I like what bloody songs are on it, you know. Do Lefty.
Yeah, Lefty Two Guns. Wicked.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be cool.
All right, man. I'll lock that in.
Thanks, man.
All right, dude. Well, thanks for your time again, Tom. And yeah, I'll see you in a few weeks' time, man.
See you then. Listen, look after yourself, okay?
You too, pal.
Will do. All the best. Thank you.
All right, take care, mate.
Bye, Lee.